I look good though, right?
Are you high right now? Do you love this shit? Do you ever get nervous? Well, if you do, then stick around because we have a lot more just for you. Hello, Nation. Transmutation here, and I'm so happy to see each and every one of you. Nation, today is December 16th, 2025. I am reflecting on this past year of all the different achievements that I have accomplished this past year. This past year has been filled with many obstacles and challenges and adversity that I've had to overcome, not only in my medical transition, but in my personal life as well. Bitch, let's get into it. Like, y'all, this past year has been hella crazy. This year is definitely something that I wasn't prepared for, but that's life, you know? You just have to go with the flow. And I think that was the biggest lesson I've learned from this past year is just go with the flow. Don't try to force things. The more you try to grasp and hold on to something, you will not achieve it or attain it. 2025 was filled with a lot of chaos in my personal life as well as in the world. I think everyone could agree that this past year was a lot. Oh, that's okay. Thankfully, I have you, Nation. You have been my foundation and have centered me in my journey this past year. So thank you, Nation, for all that you've done. You're always close to my heart, in my mind, and in my spirit. I love you so much. This past year, I've had 3 surgeries. I had vocal feminization surgery in January. I had body contouring in July, and I also had my breast augmentation in October of this year. It's a lot of trauma. This past year has been filled with a lot of trauma, medical trauma from the surgeries. Of course, it's gender affirming or gender confirmation surgeries. So it is something that I need and want, and it has vastly improved the quality of my life. But nevertheless, it's still trauma on the body and also the mental aspects as well. I believe that's the most difficult part of having surgeries. I have a pretty high pain tolerance, so I can manage and cope fairly well. After the first few days, my body gets used to the pain and it's just more like of an uncomfortable feeling that you have to deal with. But the most difficult part that I've come to learn is the mental aspect of recovery from surgery, of having to stay in bed pretty much all day, bedbound for several weeks, depending on which surgery. When I had my vocal surgery, I couldn't speak for 2 weeks. And that was very challenging, as well as recovering from that. The emotional aspect of not being able to verbally communicate. And with my body contouring, it was a lot of soft tissue damage and bruising. So it was very uncomfortable just to lie down or sit for several weeks until I was able to regain a lot of my mobility. After the first week, I stopped taking the painkillers, but it was still very uncomfortable because there's so much bruising and damaging on my body, and I'm very sensitive. However, my third surgery, my breast augmentation surgery, it was not terribly painful, but the first 2 weeks were the hardest because I couldn't lift up my arms and I couldn't lift anything more than like 5 pounds, being stuck at home for the most part and not being able to be active. So there's the physical aspects of recovery, there's the mental aspects of recovery. And for me, that was probably the most difficult. However, having 3 surgeries in this past year, I have a better understanding of my able-bodied privilege. And not to take that for granted, being able to walk and see and talk and hear and use my body without any sort of chronic illness or disability is incredibly humbling. Even though I had only experienced reduction in some of those aspects for a set period of time, a few weeks, few months, but it made me express my gratitude. And I definitely took it for granted when I wasn't able to talk or move my body in a normal way or being able to complete basic life functions. I'm proud of myself that I've been able to dedicate my current life on my medical transition. That is also a privilege in itself. Not everyone has the opportunity to do so. And I'm incredibly grateful that I'm able to do that. However, it doesn't come without any sacrifices. In order to receive something, you must give something up. And this year, I've given up financial stability. I'm not rich or wealthy by any means, particularly by Bay Area standards, where the cost of living is significantly higher compared to other parts of America, the world, and particularly California. I had a decent job. I took time off for medical leave to recover from surgery and also recover from my eating disorder, which I spoke about in my documentary and chronicled all the different parts of my life from 2024 to when I had stopped filming my documentary in March of this past year of 2025. So I'm cautiously optimistic about my future. But let's go back to the achievement. Another achievement that I'm proud of this year is finishing my documentary. I had worked on it for nearly a year and a half, and I had originally uploaded it at the end of August, and then I made a second iteration for my film screening I had at Canessa Gallery here in San Francisco. I'm happy that I was able to finish it and also share my life and my love with the nation and the entire world of my personal experience, but also the trans experience as well. Having finished two iterations of my documentary, it was incredibly difficult to edit the first iteration of my documentary because that is the art, that is my life. So having to remove a lot of pieces that were significant and important to me was very difficult, but I am happy with the second iteration. Another achievement I'm proud of is creating new trans friendships. I've made trans identifying friends of all different identities of trans mass, trans femme, binary trans, whatever. I'm very happy that I have cultivated and fostered newfound friendships. And I love each and every one of you. At the beginning of this year in January, when I was more recovered from my vocal surgery, I had a goal of creating trans community here in San Francisco. I do have a few other trans identifying friends, but at that time I didn't know anyone personally or had a close connection that lived in San Francisco. So I made it a point to go to different trans groups from different nonprofits like the SF LGBTQ Center or Open House and Trans Thrive and just lots of other spaces for trans identifying folks and their respective identities for the specific groups. For me, it's not difficult to meet people. I have a lot of charisma and charm, and I know how to use my powers to entice and enchant people. I love doing that. I love meeting new people. I love talking to people. I love learning about people's lives and their experiences. And I'm definitely a friend collector for sure. But we are put on this earth to share our love with everyone. So it seems disingenuous not to be open with other people and be vulnerable. I know for some people it's difficult to do that, but when you're trying to make new friends and build new relationships, you kind of have to be vulnerable. And through lots of therapy from the previous year in 24, I had the skills and tools to create better connections with folks, even though it wasn't difficult for me for previous years' experience of meeting people. But when it comes to putting yourself in a space where you don't know anyone, with all this trans groups that I went to, I didn't know anyone. Just went there and I was like, okay, let me just make conversations and start chopping it up with people. And eventually I had developed lots of connections and made many colleagues and peers. However, there are several close friends that I have a genuine connection and bond with that I'm happy that I was able to achieve this year. Another goal I set for myself at the beginning of this year was to actually start dating for the first time, because I don't really count dating pre-transition because that wasn't the real me. It wasn't my true self, my true form. And all the other sort of relationships or lack thereof are not indicative of my personal experience in myself as of right now. So I decided, let me do T for T. Let me be pansexual, bisexual, whatever you want to call it. At the beginning of this year, I gave myself permission to start dating and explore other aspects of my gender identity and sexuality when it comes to dating. Before transitioning, I only had experiences with cis men, and I've had other encounters with cis men in between transitioning the past few years, but When it comes to dating, I wanted to make sure that I was in the right headspace and becoming the best version of myself that I can share with other people. Specifically, when it comes to dating, I wanted to wait a while until I was feeling more confident in my body. And at the beginning of this year, I felt confident and I just put that energy out there. Thankfully, I've never had to use any dating apps to meet people or to find people. I just meet them out in the wilds just by being myself. So it's not difficult for me to meet people. In my mind, when I want to find a new crush or a flirtationship or whatever, a new person, I guess, you have to, one, be open to receive whatever the universe is bringing to you in that moment. And also, two, having that manifestation in your heart and in your mind and speaking that into existence. You have that in your mind and saying, I'm going to have a new crush. I'm going to find a new person. I'm going to meet someone new. And if you have that energy and think positive that someone will appear to you in your life, it will happen. Maybe not super quickly, but in my experience, it's like 50-50, where it's like, sometimes I don't even put that energy out there when I'm in new spaces and meeting new people. I just see what happens. And then the other 50% of the time or so, I'm putting that energy out there. I will find someone. And if you're good at flirting, like I am, I love flirting. That's how I communicate. So it's not difficult for me to meet people, but finding the right people that you want to date can be difficult. And that's something that I've also experienced, finding out what I like, what I don't like, how to communicate when it comes to relationships. I didn't have that much experience. So I think a lot of it was just trial and error. I don't know about your experience, Nation, but my personal experience was very much of they're emotionally unavailable or they have a lot of baggage from their previous relationship, whatever it may be. But okay, that's another thing. Why are people so nonchalant nowadays? I don't get it. Why are people so nonchalant? I was hanging out with one of my friends. For me, we dated casually. Dating can be a lot of things. For many people, dating is different. And I'm aware of that. For some people, dating is just to meet new people. Dating is for hooking up, it's like for casual sex. But for the majority of people, dating is to see if there's any long-term compatibility for a future relationship and continuing that relationship and building something more long-term in the future. But in my instance, I feel like dating can be a combination of all those things, or it can be one of those things. But with this particular individual, we hung out at least once or twice a week, and we would sleep over at each other's apartments. We would cuddle, kiss, hold hands, hang out, and do lots of different stuff. We were never physically intimate in a sexual way other than kissing and making out. But to me, I would consider that casual dating. If you're doing all that sort of stuff, it's dating. For the other person, it was, oh, we're just hanging out. But for me, okay, well, if I see you multiple times a week, we sleep over each other's apartments, we kiss, we cuddle, we hold hands, we go out, we dance with each other, we dance out of each other. Like for me, that's dating. When we were talking about it, because I just started seeing someone they had fucked around with, and I was telling them about my experiences with this person, and they were like, do you consider what we had or what we did dating? I said, yeah, I would consider it casual dating. I never claimed you. I never said, oh, you're my partner. I just said, oh yeah, we dated casually. And they're like, oh, see, I don't see it that way. We were just hanging out. What is with this nonchalance? Like, I don't understand. Why are people so nonchalant? Just say you're dating you can date people for 3 dates, or you can date them for a few weeks, few months, or a few years. I mean, when it gets to like years, there's obviously more commitment involved, but that's still dating. You do all those sort of things that a couple would do, but it's not like you were together. You were just dating, because people can date multiple people at once. That's just my personal experience. I don't know about yours, Nation, but I just don't like when people are so nonchalant or emotionally unavailable. It's just funny how two people can be doing the same things, but each individual has a unique and totally different experience. Nonchalant, not with it. With all that being said, I'm proud of myself that I was able to explore other aspects of my sexuality and my gender identity when it comes to dating, because I didn't feel comfortable in my body and I didn't feel confident enough to be my authentic self. And now that I've tapped into that power, I feel more stronger and more confident, I had to learn how to navigate all those different situations and different relationships. So that's something I'm proud of that I accomplished this past year, was allowing myself to go out and date people. The story continues. Another accomplishment I'm proud of this past year is going back to school and actually enjoying it. I graduated from SF State undergrad in 2019, and I was just going through the motions of my life. I didn't really feel super enthusiastic as I went through my undergrad. From probably the second semester of freshman year, I checked out. Okay, I'm over it. I'm done. And there was multiple variables in that experience of obviously being trans and gender dysphoria and body dysmorphia, and a little bit of my eating disorder. I don't recall a lot of times that I actively restricted or engaged in behaviors, although it was present in my life at that time. However, a lot of those years I just associated. So it's kind of hazy, the memory, but I'm sure it did play a part in my overall college experience and just my general life experience in my young adult years. At SF State, it's very much a commuter school. People just go to school, do their work, and go home. So it took me several years to build up a support system with my peers and actually enjoy classes. But when I decided to go back to school for marketing at City College, because it's free for SF residents, so if you want to go back to school or just want to expand your education and learn more about yourself and whatever excites you and what your passions are, consider going to City College of San Francisco if you're a resident, because it's free. And I feel like I'm doing well. I actually love all my classes. I am a straight A student. I want 100% in all my classes. I don't like when I get like a 98 or 99. I want 100% because I actually like learning, and I'm in a different period where I am taking ownership of my life and the decisions that I make, and I'm not just going through the motions. And I'm actually excited to go back to school. So I signed up for more classes next semester, and hopefully I'll be done in the fall. I'm proud of myself that I went back to school and I'm excelling in it and enjoying learning. Those are some of my accomplishments I'm proud of this past year in 2025. And as this year is coming to a close, I'm looking forward to the future and want to work on different goals and also accomplish some things that I've been meaning to work on. And I am happy to continue to share my life with you, nation. So let's get into it. My number one priority and goal for 2026 is to complete my medical transition and have bottom surgery. I've focused the past 2 years of my life with one-pointedness and precision and focus on achieving my goal, which is transitioning. I'm determined to complete my medical transition in 2026. I will let no one or nothing stop me from accomplishing my goal. I've been working so hard and diligently, not only in regards to my medical transition, but many aspects of my life and my identity. So I'm not going to let anyone stop me. That is my plan for 2026, is to have bottom surgery and finish my medical transition so I can focus on other goals and other things that I want to work on in the future. Another goal I have for 2026 is to further develop my brand and continue to develop and create content. I've been very sick for a majority of this year, so it was difficult for me to create content regularly. See, my throat right now is so bad, it's so bad. There's been a lot of personal chaos in my life that has prevented me from focusing solely on developing content. But another goal I have for 2026 is to complete my marketing program at City College. I am confident that I will be able to finish it in the fall, and that is something else that I'm looking forward to in the upcoming year. Another goal I want to work on in this year is to further develop my arts and express other aspects of my creativity with my modeling and DJing and fashion styling. In the second half of this year, I started modeling. It brings me great pleasure to be a muse for the artists that are able to express their creativity, their perception and image of me in their own medium. And that is something I really like to do with my modeling. I also want to further develop my DJing abilities. I had just started to learn how to DJ this past year, and I was able to DJ for my birthday party, which I was happy for. I think everyone enjoyed it. I'm still learning how to DJ, but I'm excited to practice more and maybe have some other gigs in the coming year, as well as continuing my stylist abilities, not only for myself, but for my friends and everyone else that needs a little zhuzhing up. That is something that I'm excited to work on in this upcoming year. Another goal that I know I will accomplish is to have a roast for my 30th birthday. I'll be turning 30 in 2026, God willing, inshallah. But I think it would be hella fun. Like, it would kind of be gaggy, right? To do one of the old school Dean Barton celebrity roasts. If you don't know what that is, look it up. But also, it's pretty much like the Comedy Central roast. It's just hella fun to have other people roast me. I love when people laugh in my face. That's like my favorite thing ever, is having people laugh in my face. And I love when people do that, because not everyone is skilled and has the talent of being able to make fun of me and it actually be funny and have me laugh. And also to make fun of my other friends and everyone else that is attending. So that is something that will definitely happen for 2026. Another goal I want to work on for 2026 is to further my advocacy for the trans community. I don't think many marginalized identities wish to be a role model or feel like they have to be a spokesperson for their community. I don't see myself as a role model in particular. However, I exist as my authentic self and strive to be genuine in all my interactions with myself and with everyone that I interact with. And that is a radical concept for many people on this earth, is to be who you are and show up as your authentic self in every interaction. However, I want to be more politically active and involved with particularly trans organizations and nonprofits and members of the trans community to solidify our bodily autonomy and self-determination as transgender people. So being an advocate for myself and for you, nation, and everyone else in the transgender community is something that I will continue to work on in this upcoming year. Ultimately, my goal is to share more of my life with you, nation, because I love you and I want to continue to walk my path with you, hands in hand, my heart, my spirit. So thank you, nation, for joining me on my journey. And I hope we can see each other every day. Let's continue to see each other more in the new year. My wish is for the nation to have a wonderful, happy, and healthy new year in 2026, and you get to be more trans, more cunts, more femme, more mask, whatever your vision for yourself is and for your future. I hope you get everything you deserve in this life. I love you, nation.